Hi everyone, you're welcome back to the channel. My name is Sarah. How you doing today? On today's video, we'll be sewing and cutting a palazzo jumpsuit. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share this video with your sew friends. So guys, let's get right into it. So to draft this jumpsuit, the first thing we have to do is to cut out the half length first, then we'll draft out the trouser. So here I came down by 1 inches for the startup line. This indicates my shoulder, and my pattern is on fold a bit. Now the next we have to do is to get the shoulder. So for the shoulder, I'm working with 13 inches. 13 divided by 2 will give me 6.5. Then I will add half inches for seam allowance. That will make it 7 inches. Now the next we have to do is to get the width of the neckline. For the width of my neckline, I'm making use of 3 inches, and the depth also I will make use of 3 inches. I will connect the neckline together. So now after getting that, now the next you have to do is to come down from your shoulder by 1 inch. This 1 inch is for my shoulder slope. I'll connect it back to the width of the neckline. So now after doing that, now the next you have to do is to get the chest line. To get your chest line, you divide your bust by 6 plus 1.5. So for the chest line, after dividing it, I have 7 inches. I'll come down from my shoulder slope by 7 inches and mark. I'll check what I have from the startup line. I have 8 inches. I'll bring the 8 inches on the center front this way and mark. So now connect these lines together. After getting your chest line, now you bring down your shoulder measurement down to the chest line, which is 7 inches. So now connect this with a straight line. So now I'll divide what I have on the armhole. I have 7 inches divided by 2 will give me 3.5. Here I'll put down 3.5, and I'll come in by half inches here and mark. So now you connect the straight line first, like this, and you finish up with your French curve this way. After getting your armhole, the next you have to get is from shoulder to bust point. Shoulder to bust point I'm working with is 10 inches. Then after getting the bust point, you get shoulder to under bust. Shoulder to under bust is 13 inches. Then now the next you have to do is to get shoulder to waist. The shoulder to waist I'm working with is 16 inches. So now connect those lines together. I'm done connecting the lines together. It's always good to label your pattern: chest line, bust point, under bust, and the waist. Now after doing this, now you have to get the nipple to nipple point. So for the nipple to nipple point, I'll be using 3.5. So on my bust point here, I will come down by 3.5. Then on the under bust, you mark 3.5 also. Then on the waist, you put 3.5. So now connect these lines together. So now on the bust point, I'll come down by 1 inches. First here, my dart is not getting to the bust point. Now I'll open the dart on the waist by half inches. So now connect this dart leg down to this 1 inches I came down here. So we've opened the dart by half inches. Now the next we have to do is to put down the round measurement. So for my bust, I'm working with 33 inches. So 33 divided by 4 will give me 8.25. On the chest line, I'll put down 8.25. Then for the waist I'm working with is 27. 27 divided by 4 will give me 6.75 here, 6.75 here. Then I'll add 1 inches for my dart intake. This is 1 inches for dart intake. Then I'll connect from the chest line down to the waist. After connecting the bust down to the waist, now the next you have to do is to get the difference between your front and back. So for this, I'll come down from my bust point by 1.25. So now connect this 1.25 down to my nipple to nipple point. So after doing this, now we have to tighten the under bust. So the one under bust I'm working with is 25. So we divide 25 by 4. After dividing that, I have 6.25. So here I'll put down 6.25. Then I will check what I have left. I have 1.75 left. On the center of the front here, I'll come in by ½ inches. Then I'll put the remaining 1.25 I have left on this side front here. So now the next we have to do is to connect this ½ inches down to the nipple to nipple point. Then you turn your French curve to this other side to connect the 1.25 we have here down this way. Now the next we have to do is to connect this dart leg down to our ½ inches here, like this. We are done shaping the under bust. The half length we have a princess dart. Put your curve this way, see the way I place my curve. Then you connect back to your nipple to nipple point. Okay, this is it. Now come out by ½ inches here. Now connect it back to the armhole. So now before we cut out, on the hem of our pattern, I'll add ½ inches for joining the half length down to the trouser, ½ inches here. So now after cutting your princess dart, then you fold your bust dart this way. You fold it from the hem of your pattern, fold it up this way. Now you blend back. I'm through with the cutting of the front. Now we have to work on the neckline. We are not using the standard neckline. I'll come down by 5.5 inches here, 5.5 inches for the depth of my neckline. Then we'll still maintain the width, which is 3 inches here. I'll come down here also on the 5.5 and mark 3 inches. Now connect with a straight line. This is the depth of the neckline. Now the next we have to do is to open up the pattern paper and mark 3 inches also. So after getting the four corner, now you open up your center from this way. I'll just mark a straight line from the depth of my neckline like this. Okay, this is it. Now cut this out. Now we are done with the neckline for the front. Now let's draft the back pattern. I came in by 1.25 for my zipper allowance. Then I came down by 1 inches for the startup line. Now next you have to do is to get your shoulder measurement. The shoulder I'm working with is 13 divided by 2 plus ½ inches will give me 7 inches. I'll be making use of 3 inches for the width of the neckline. The depth will be 1 inches. So now connect the necklines together. After connecting your neckline, the next you have to do, come down by 1 inches for the shoulder slope and mark. I'll connect this down to the width of the neckline. After connecting this shoulder slope down to the width of your neckline, the next you have to do is to get your chest line. To get your chest line, you divide your bust by 6 plus 1.5. After doing that, I have 7 inches for my chest line. So yeah, I'll put down 7 inches. Then after getting the chest line, now we have to get the back length. So for the back length, we'll be making use of 14.5. Then we add ½ inches for joining the trouser to the half length of the top to make it a jumpsuit. So now I'll make use of 15 inches for the back length. So yeah, I'll put down 15 inches. Now connect these lines together. I'm done connecting the lines together. This is my chest line, then the waist. Okay, so now you divide your armhole by 2. Here we have 7 inches. 7 divided by 2 will give me 3.5. I've marked it here already. Now you come in by ½ inches. I'll connect a straight line this way and I'll finish up with my curve. Now after doing that, now you have to drop down your nipple to nipple point on your waist, which is 3.5. Then on your chest line also you put down 3.5. Now connect the straight line. Now on this chest line here, I'll come down by 1 inches. The dart is not getting to the chest line. Then I'll open up my dart by half inches. So now connect it back to this 1 inches I came down here. So now after doing that, now you have to tighten your center back to avoid zipper bulge. So here on the center back, I'll come in by ½ inches. Then on the depth of my neckline here, I'll come down by 3 inches. So now connect this half inches mark down to these 3 inches I came down here. So after doing this, now we have to put down the bust measurement. The round bust we are working with is 33 divided by 4, which is 8.25. So on my chest line, I'll put down 8.25 here. Then on the waist also, I will divide the waist by 4. The waist I'm working with is 27. 27 divided by 4 will give me 6.75. So it's after the half inches we have on the zipper bulge. That's where you put your waist measurement, which is 6.75 here. Then we'll add 1 inches for that intake and mark. So now connect the bust point down to the waist. After connecting your bust to the waist, the next you have to do now is to mark out your zipper allowance. So from this half inches here, I'll come here and mark 1 inches for zipper, 1 inches for zipper allowance. I'll do this to the neckline. So now connect my zipper allowance together, then I'll cut out. I'll be drafting the front and the back on this pattern. So that's why on the side of my pattern here, I came in by 1.5. Then on the top of my pattern here, I came down by 2 inches. This line here now will serve as my waist. The next we have to do is to get from the upper waist to the hip, which is 9 inches from my waist to hip. Then next we have to do now is to get the crouch depth. To get your crouch depth, you divide your hip by 4. The hip I'm working with is 35. 35 divided by 4 will give me 8.75. So now that 8.75, I will add 2 inches to it. 2 inches to my hip measurement. That will give me 9.75. But I will just approximate this to 11 inches. When you are drafting a high waist trouser or jumpsuit, you have to add 2 inches to your hip measurement. After doing that, now I have 11 inches. I divided my hip by 4, which is 8.75. Then you add 2 inches to it. That will give me 9.75. But I want to make use of 11 inches for the crouch depth. So now connect these lines together. After getting the crouch, now we have to get from waist to knee. So waist to knee I'm working with is 21. Then I will now get from waist to the hem of my jumpsuit, which is 56. After connecting the lines together, now the next you have to do is to divide your hip by 4. 35 divided by 4 will give me 8.75. So on the waist here, I'll put down 8.75. Then I'll bring that 8.75 down to my crouch. Now connect the straight line. So after dropping my hip measurement, the next I have to do is to divide the waist by 4. The waist I'm working with is 27. 27 divided by 4 will give me 6.75. Then I will add 1 inches for that intake. After doing this, now divide what I have here by 2. This is my dart here. From the hip here, I'll come up by 2 inches. My dart is not getting to the hip. Now connect this line. So now open the dart by half inches here. Here also half inches. Then I'll connect it back. I'll connect the dart leg. So after connecting the dart leg, now we'll connect what we have here on the waist, this line here, down to my hip. I'm done connecting it down to my hip. Now the next we have to do now is to get the front crouch extension. To get your front crouch extension, you divide your hip by 20. So after doing that, after dividing 35 by 20, I have 1.75 here. Now connect my crouch extension. I'm done connecting the front crouch extension. Now we'll divide what I have here to get the crease line. I have 10.5. I'll divide by 2. I'll check what I have here. I have 5.25. On my new line also, I'll put down 5.25. 0.25. So now connect with the straight line. So now this is the crease line. Next you have to do is to divide your nail measurement, but because this is a straight trouser, I will check what I have on my hip. I have 8.75, so I'll bring that 8.75 down to my nail. 8.75 divided by 2, we have 4.25 here, 4.25 here also. So now connect from the crouch down to the nail this way, from the crouch line here down to the nail. Okay, now I'll bring what I have also down to the hemline. I'm through connecting it down to the hem of my trouser. Now I adjust my pattern paper. So now we are done with the drafting of the front pattern. You can go ahead and cut out your front pattern, but remember you'll be adding ½ inches seam at the inseam here, and on the side of your jumpsuit you'll be adding 1 inches for seam allowance. But because we are drafting the back pattern, now I will just come on this line we have for the hip here. This is our hip line, 8.75, this crouch line here, and I'll come in because this is a small size jumpsuit. I'll be coming in by 0.75 here. Then I'll come on the waist and I'll come in by 1.5. Connect this 1.5 inches down to this 0.75. Okay, this is it. After doing this, now the next we have to do is to come up by 1.5. Your back jumpsuit has to be higher than the front. The way we used to cut our normal trouser, it will be higher by 1.5 the back. And I will check what I have here, 7.25. Now connect it up. So now we get the new waist. Now the waist I'm working with is 27. 27 divided by 4 will give me 6.75. This 6.75 here, then I will add 1 inches for the dart. That will give me, now this will be the new waist for the back. So now I'll just come here down this slant line like this. Okay, this is the waist for the back. Now connect for the hip here. We've come in by 0.75. Now we have to mark out the hip for the back. The hip for the back here. Now I'll come here and mark my hip, which is 8.75. Now connect this waist down to the hip. Now I'll check what I have left here. I have ½ inches. I'll bring the ½ inches back to the crouch here. Now connect with a straight line. Then we have to get the back crouch. To get your back crouch, you divide your hip by 10. After doing that, I have 3.5 here. 3.5. Put my 3.5 here. Now connect the back crouch like this. Okay, this is my back crouch. Now on my new line here, I'll come out by ½ inches. Then on the side of my jumpsuit also, I'll come out by ½ inches. So now the first we have to do is to connect the crouch down to the nail like this. And on my side seam here, I'll connect back down to the nail also. Next we have to do is to put the ½ inches also. You mark your ½ inches on the hem also, ½ inches on the inseam, ½ inches on the side seam. This is just for ease. We've not added seam allowance to the back pattern. We are drafting out the back pattern. Now connect this line together. So I'm through connecting the hem line. Now the next we have to do before we cut out, we have to add zipper allowance. So the trouser for the back will be the same thing as the half length. So now I'll add ½ inches for my zipper allowance here. I'll come down by 7 inches. So here also I'll put down 1 inches. So now I'm done connecting the zipper allowance. Now when you are cutting on your fabric, you just add ½ inches from here down like this, ½ inches for seam allowance. Like that. So now I'll cut this out. I'm through with the cutting of the fabric. This is my side front, and for the seam allowance for the side, I added 2 inches on the half length for the side front, And on the center front here, I added half inches for joining allowance. Then for the back also, 2 inches for seam allowance. Then on the jumpsuit, on the side of my jumpsuit, 2 inches allowance also. On this side here, 2 inches allowance. Then on this other side here, half inches for the inseam. Now, to know you cut your back pattern right, the seam allowance should be together like this, as in it should be equal. When you add your zipper allowance here, in your jumpsuit, you add 1 inches for seam allowance. By the time you get to this 7 inches here, you just add half inches for the seam allowance. You can see now my trouser and the half length are equal at the hem. You can see we've not oiled that yet. The next we have to do now is to go and sew the dart for my back, the main fabric and the lining. I'm through the sewing of the dart for the back on the main fabric and on the lining also. Now the next we have to do is to turn the main fabric and the lining together. First I will go and turn the neckline. After turning the neckline, I will double stitch the lining. The next I have to do is to sew the center back, then I will sew the sides. Yeah, I'm done sewing it. You can see how neatly finished it is, and you can see I double stitch the lining. Now I'll turn this to the front. I've turned it to the front. The next you have to do now is to join the back trouser to it. Now this is my back trouser. You make sure the darts are together this way. You bring the back of your trouser and match it up with the darts so it will align together. Now I'll go and sew on half inches on the waist here, half inches like this. I'll sew from this my dart here down to this end, and I'll do the same thing also on this other end. I'm through with the sewing of the half length to the trouser. You can see how it is, and my dart is matching up. Even though we have the excess at the sides, we'll trim it up when we are joining it together. Now we'll keep this back aside, so we'll work on the front. For the center front, to cut the neckline, you make sure the right side of your main fabric is facing up and the right side of your lining is facing together this way. Then you place your pattern paper on it and cut it out. After doing that, now we'll separate the pattern paper from the fabric. Now I'll go and join the side of my front together with the center front on half inches. I'll start to join from the hem of my half length here. That's where I'll start to join. I'll pin this down on half inches. So when you get to this, you just curve your princess dart to the armhole. I'll do this for this side of the front and the other side, and I'll do the same thing also on the lining. I'm through with the joining of the side of the center front and the side front, and I've given it a good press. Then I've gone ahead also to sew down my neckline on the main fabric and the lining together. I've sewn down the neckline. Then I did a double stitch on the lining. After doing that, now the next we have to do is to join the sides of the half length on 0.25 here. I'll do the same thing on this other side. I'm through turning the front, the sides of the front and the neckline. Now we'll keep the half length aside, so we'll work on the jumpsuit. So for my jumpsuit, I've gone ahead to sew down my darts. Now the next we have to do is to join the trouser at the crouch on half inches. Until we're joining the crouch, now we join this trouser to the half length. Before you do that, you have to launch the center of your front, so the crouch will be facing the center of your front this way. Give it a little launch. So now I will start joining from the center this way to this side of my front, and I'll do the same thing also on this other side. I'm through the joining of the half length to the trouser. Now keep the front pattern aside. Guys, let's work on the back of the jumpsuit. I'll go and sew from the neck here down to this 7 inches we came down from the trouser here. When we get here, I'll start to sew from half inches to the crouch here. I'm through with the joining of the center backs together. So now we have to join the jumpsuit at the shoulder. So now you bring the shoulders together this way, and you turn it with the lining. We turn the back. This is my back here, and this is the front. you do it this way to be in the between. You can pin down like this. Now you turn the back lining like this to the front, and you make sure they are aligning. The two main fabrics are together this way. And now I'll go and sew this on 1/2 inches. I'll do for this side of my shoulder and do the same thing also on the other side. Through the joining of the shoulder, you can see how it looks. Now the next you have to do is to join this jumpsuit at the crouch area. You bring your front crouch and the back crouch this way, and you open them up like this. This is how you open up. You can see the way I open mine. This is what you do, and you sew from the center of your crouch here down to the hem, and you come to this other side also and sew from the center of your crouch down to this other side on 1/2 inches. I'm through with joining the crouch. You can see how it is. This is the back of my crouch. Please always cut out your thread though, so you have a neat job. So this is it. Now the next we have to do is to join the sides of the jumpsuits. Now we're almost done, so I will spread out my front piece this way, so it will be the same thing with the back like this. Now I'll put down my bust measurement. I'll divide my bust by 2. I'll put it down and I will mark out the seam allowance. I'll do the same thing on the waist and the hip. I'm through with the joining of the side of the jumpsuit. We're almost done. Now the next we have to do is to fix in the zipper. This is the front of the zipper. We put it like this. So now I'll go and sew on my zipper allowance that we left there already. I'm through with the fixing of the zip, and I'm through with the folding of the hemline also. Now the next we have to do now is to work on the sleeve. I drop a link below on the description box on how to draft a flay sleeve. So this is my sleeve, and I've gone ahead also to fold the hem of the sleeve round. Now the next we have to do is to fix this sleeve. So you open up your back like this so you can have access. This is the head of my sleeve, the cap of my sleeve, the up, and this is the hem of the sleeve. When you watch that video, I explain on how to get this flay sleeve there. So now the next you have to do is to bring this hem, you launch it so you know the hem of your sleeve, the armhole side here. I will place it here and pin down. Then on my up of my sleeve also, I launch that side also. So now place them together like this to the shoulder. The place I launch will be at the shoulder here, and I will pin down also. So now this sleeve will be having a little pleat round the armhole, not much, just little from the shoulder down to here. And I will sew it round now and show you what it looks like when I'm done. I'm through with the fixing of the sleeve. You can see how it looks. I would have loved to display this on my dress form for you to see, but this size is a very small size. It's a size 6, while my dress form is size 8. Thank you, and thank you guys for watching to the end. I really appreciate you all. See you on the next one. God bless you.